Hi, in this video, I will be going through 14 specific examples and explaining whether the use of AI would be considered acceptable or not. On the left-hand side, I've got the action that describes the case. On the right-hand side, I've got the comment. Will this be accepted or won't it be accepted? Right, starting from number 1. You have composed your own research proposal or assignment document and you ask ChatGPT or another AI platform to edit it for grammar. Would this be accepted or not? This would be accepted and even recommended at times. However, your university might be using AI detectors and this might be flagged on your learning management system. It might be Moodle or Blackboard, but nevertheless, since the content is your own, just make sure you have your rough work, then you can show your lecturer, and then you can verify that it was your own work. So in summary, you're the full author, you've just requested some minor edits using AI, so AI's role is just language editing. You're submitting your original writing slightly polished, there aren't really any ethical concerns. In the second scenario, say for example, you paste multiple copied paragraphs into an AI tool and you ask it to critically evaluate the content. You interact with the tool through detailed prompts and questions and you submit the conversation as part of your work to show your process of understanding. You were using AI to check your work, but you were interacting with AI and actually learning from the tool. And while this may be accepted, but it is subject to review. If there's clear evidence of a meaningful interaction with the AI tool and there's proof of personal learning, well, your lecturer may accept this form of engagement. You can provide a transcript of your conversation and even the prompts you used in order to support your case. Now, what I do with my students is, in these cases, I just ask my students some questions. I want to see, did they learn from the AI and are they able to demonstrate competence? If the student has gained knowledge, I'm happy. So I don't mind if the student used AI as long as the student has gained knowledge and they can demonstrate this knowledge. So in summary, your role is being the student, AI's role is being the tutor. You submit evidence of your learning. Ethically, it's acceptable to learn from AI as long as AI is not doing the work for you. Case number 3. Your project examines AI generated versus human content. So you use AI to generate the content, such as a response to an image. So for example, you ask AI, what is it that you identify in this image? Or you ask AI to comment on some text. Then you compare that with, say, a group of humans. And you want to see the difference between the AI comments and the human's comments. So in this assignment, you clearly indicate which part was human generated and which part was AI generated. Okay, so what would happen? It is context dependent, but it probably will be accepted because in certain research, we might want to incorporate AI generated content to compare the AI versus human. So in this case, that was the purpose of the assignment. It was to compare a human with the AI. However, you've got to be careful because if there's too much AI generated content, there may be a charge of plagiarism because remember that AI content is generated from previously published content as well. So you might be inadvertently publishing already published documents. So in summary, your role is like a curator or an analyst. AI's role is to generate content, but you're using that content to compare it with a human. The main issue is to cite which is the AI section. Ethically, it is acceptable if it's transparently done. Number 4, your assignment includes technical or computational tasks such as modeling, coding, or design. You use AI to assist with the technical aspects of the task, but you clearly specify which components were completed independently, for example by yourself, and which were AI assisted. This would mostly be accepted and is often encouraged because many disciplines now require the student to learn how to use AI tools to help them with their work. So using AI tools to support technical tasks is not considered misconduct, especially when AI is used to enhance efficiency or accuracy, but it's not meant to bypass your learning. However, you're still required to demonstrate your learning, and this includes retaining and submitting evidence of your original rough work if required, and also ensuring that AI-generated content remains within the acceptable limit. However, if the task explicitly required the student to perform the work themselves, i.e. they weren't supposed to use AI tools, well then that's a different story, and therefore the student has used AI instead of doing the work themselves, and then a charge of academic misconduct could follow. So always declare the use of AI tools. Of course, if you are allowed to use AI tools to assist you in your assignment to perform very complex computations, then yes, of course you must use it. But if that forms the bulk of what you're submitting, then there isn't evidence of the student's learning. So that's the litmus test. That's the bottom line. If most of the work you're submitting is generated by AI, then you are leaning into academic misconduct. If you use AI to assist you, but that's not the bulk of your work, then that is accepted. So in summary, your role was a partial creator and a partial user. AI's role was like an assistant for your technical subtasks. There is a mix of human and AI generated work, but clear boundaries were noted. There is an ethical concern, but if you're honest about what part is yours and what part is AI, it should be okay. Number 5, say for example, you're writing an essay. You draft the introduction and the main argument yourself. To improve clarity and flow, you ask an AI tool to rephrase your introduction, suggest stronger topic sentences, and help with paragraph transitions. You review and revise the AI suggestions, you integrate them with your own work, and you clearly state in your methods section that AI was used for editorial and structural support. This is accepted and often recommended because AI can help improve clarity, structure, or flow, especially for students still developing writing skills. But you must stay in control of the ideas and writing. The final work should be your own thinking with honest acknowledgement of AI input. The following should be attended to. You remain the main author and thinker. AI helps with clarity, structure, or tone, but not the full content. You edit and check everything the AI suggests. You do give credit to the AI platform you used, and you can show drafts or prompts if asked. You follow your institution's rules. The same principles apply to AI-assisted creative tasks, such as if you're using AI to assist you with a visual project or an audio project. As long as the bulk of the work is yours, then it should be okay. In summary, using AI as a co-writer can be helpful. Your role must still be to direct and edit and prompt AI. It should be following your story. AI's role is to support and improve your work. The main issue is that you must remain the main author and the thinker in the project. The ethical concern is that there needs to be transparent acknowledgement of AI's role. Number 6, you ask AI to propose a novel technique or solution and you incorporate it into your work. You do cite AI as the source. Now, you've got to proceed with caution here because AI models may learn from patents, scholarly research, and proprietary information, meaning that what the AI provides you might already be in the public domain. It's just that you haven't checked it. So just because the AI provided it to you and maybe it even said it was novel, doesn't mean it is novel. So you might be infringing on intellectual property rights. Even if you cite AI, that will not protect you because once you've used it and you publish it, then there may be a claim against you. And citing AI is not a defense because the onus is on the student to verify that there is originality in their work. So the summary is that AI proposes ideas for you, you build on them. Your role is to prompt and apply the ideas. AI's role is the idea generator. You're submitting your work with AI-sourced ideas. The main issue is that we don't know if the ideas are novel. Are they original? They could even be plagiarized. So there is an ethical concern. Therefore, one has to be critical because misconduct applies if there's a misrepresentation. Now notice it's gone red because these are all not accepted. So let's start with number 7. You use an AI tool to generate content for one or more sections of your assignment or literature review. The AI provides citations which you include in your work without verifying their accuracy. However, the citations are incorrect or they're fabricated. Now, this is not accepted. Submitting work that makes false or unverified claims, even if generated by AI, can and is often considered misconduct. When you submit work under your name, you are ultimately responsible for it. If you have the wrong citations, it constitutes a false statement and academic misconduct applies. Blaming AI and saying that AI made the mistake is not a defense because, as I said earlier, the onus is on the student to verify all citations and all claims made in their work. A charge of plagiarism may follow, and the reason for this is, say for example, you have a statement in your work and it makes a claim, and then you've cited that to say a person named Johnson, but there was a mistake with the citation and Johnson, etc., with their title, their journal article, and the publication date, etc. If they never said that, they could say it's a false claim. And then the original author, the correct author who you never cited, they could claim plagiarism because that means you are putting someone else's name on their work, which is plagiarism. And that's how mistakes in citations can lead to plagiarism claims. Of course, it depends how bad the error is. In summary, your role was that you accepted AI's output without checking it. AI created the content, but the onus is on the student to check the work. Therefore, submitting it is like submitting work that has misinformation, and therefore it is academic misconduct. Okay, we move on to number 8. You upload or paste paragraphs from journal articles or books, etc., and you paste it into an AI platform and ask it to rewrite or paraphrase or synthesize the content. Alternatively, maybe you prompt an AI tool using a web address or source material and you ask it to generate, synthesize, or paraphrase the versions. Your primary input is limited to just providing basic prompts to the AI platform. So that means that the AI platform was doing all the intellectual work while you were just saying, synthesize this, compare this, or fetch this and compare it, those statements are not enough to demonstrate learning. So this would not be accepted. And providing basic prompts to an AI platform is not demonstration of learning. There may be a charge of academic misconduct raised against you, and there may also be a charge of plagiarism if the original sources were not cited correctly, or if there was too much of the original sources in your submission. In summary, you're getting AI to do the work for you because you're just copying and pasting and doing basic prompting. Then you're submitting AI's work and attempting to get credit for it. No citations were provided and no credit to AI was given. The ethical concern is it's dishonest because you're trying to get credit for something you didn't do. And because there were no citations, there may even be a plagiarism claim raised against you. Number 9, you upload or paste paragraphs from a journal article or book, etc. and you paste this into an AI platform and you ask it to rewrite or paraphrase the content that you've copied. You then submit the rewritten version as your own work, but you add citations acknowledging the original authors. So this means you've taken other scholars' work, you've used AI to synthesize or to critically evaluate the work and to create maybe some argumentation, or maybe you're doing a review. You do have the citations, but you didn't put in the effort. It's not your formulation of the work. You used AI to formulate the synthesis, but there are citations there. Now, this won't be accepted, and the reason being is there's no evidence of your work. You haven't added any value to the work. In summary, AI paraphrases all the work. Your role was just to copy and prompt. So AI is doing the bulk of the intellectual work. You are submitting paraphrased text and it is cited, but there's lack of your input in the work. Because you're not the author, it's misleading to present it as your own work. Number 10. You ask an AI tool to generate content or solve technical problems, and you use its output to complete your assignment. This may include text-based responses, coding solutions, mathematical calculations, or other forms of technical work. Now, this is not accepted. And the reason why it's not accepted is if the assignment specifically asks the student to perform those tasks, then if you use AI in place of your work, that's when it becomes misconduct. Earlier, I said if you use AI to help you with your assignment, to do computations or to generate content for you, it's not misconduct if you were required or it was accepted as part of your assignment. For example, maybe the assignment was on a very large scope and you used AI for a small portion or just a part that maybe you were allowed to use the AI for. That's different. But if your assignment specifically wanted you to solve some maths problems or to do a specific prediction or an economic calculation, and you use AI and you were supposed to do it yourself, but you submit it as your own work, that would be academic misconduct because you're attempting to get credit for work that you did not do. Say, for example, your assignment has 10 questions and you use AI to do 7 out of the 10 questions. That would be academic misconduct because you're using AI to do the work for you. In summary, AI does all the work, you submit it and attempt to get credit for AI's work. This is academic misconduct. Number 11, you upload or paste multiple copied paragraphs from various sources into an AI tool and you ask it to critically evaluate or analyze the material. You then submit the AI generated output as your own work, even though your primary action was simply prompting the tool to perform the task on your behalf. So this is not accepted, since your role in generating the work is minimal, while the substantive intellectual work is performed by the AI tool. You're attempting to get credit for the AI's work, and this is considered cheating, and a charge of academic misconduct would apply. In summary, AI does all the intellectual work, your role is just for basic prompting. The main issue is that you didn't do the work, yet you're trying to take credit for it. This is a misrepresentation and academic misconduct applies. Number 12, you are required to collect results from practical or field data. But instead of conducting the research yourself, you ask AI to generate the results, which you then include in your submission. This is not accepted. This constitutes a fabrication of research data, which is a serious ethical violation. Submitting fictitious data is academic misconduct. If you were supposed to, for example, interview people, but you couldn't get enough people to interview, so you use AI to generate some interviews, that is misconduct because it's dishonest. Another example is as follows. Say, for example, you were supposed to take readings from a solar panel. The solar panel was supposed to be left outside for 7 days. You were supposed to get the readings, but you've run out of time and you've only got 5 days worth of data. So you think, all right, I'll just generate 2 days from AI, meaning you've got 5 days of real world data, but then you're missing 2 days. So you put in the 5 days into an AI platform and you say generate 2 additional days of data. That is dishonest because you are pretending you got all the data from a real world case scenario, but you didn't. You used AI to generate fictitious data, and that is academic misconduct. If you do this in a professional context or regulatory context, it may constitute fraud or even a criminal offense. For example, submitting false results from electrical compliance tests on a certificate is a prosecutable offense. In summary, AI is inventing data because it didn't take place in the real world. So you have falsified your research based on AI data, which means you have submitted fake results. The main issue is that it is dishonest. There is a major ethical concern here, and this is research misconduct. Number 13, you require images or video for your project, but you are unable to capture real-life visuals. You then ask an AI tool to generate the imagery, which you present as if it were obtained from real-world research. This is quite similar to the one before. You're attempting to portray the content as real life, but it's actually fictitious, and this is not acceptable. It is ethically dishonest. Misrepresenting AI generated visuals as real is dishonest and may result in a charge of academic misconduct. However, if you clearly state that the imagery, example a diagram or animation or illustrative video, was generated using AI and it's used just for explanation purposes, this is acceptable. Say for example you want to show how gears interlock and they rotate. This is acceptable if you use AI to generate that content because you're using it for explanation purposes. One just needs to cite that they used an AI tool to generate the imagery. So in summary, in this case, AI creates visuals which are presented as real data. This is misleading. The main issue is it is deceptive. So there is an ethical concern and academic misconduct applies. Number 14, you use an AI tool to process or analyze sensitive or private data. Example, patient records, client information, institutional data, or you upload such data to a public AI platform without appropriate anonymization or authorization. So say for example, you're doing a research study where you need to interview maybe 30 hospital patients, and you have all their data and you have the answers to all the questions you've asked them, and it's got their biographical information on the surveys that you are doing. Now you want to upload that onto an AI platform to help you analyze the data. This is not acceptable because you are now sharing the private or confidential data with an AI platform. So it infringes on the rights of the participants who took part in the study. So that is why it is not accepted. Uploading sensitive or confidential data to AI platforms, especially public or commercial ones, may breach institutional policies, research ethics, or data protection laws. For example, POPIA. Even if you just use AI to assist you with the analysis, but you don't submit AI's work, just putting it on the AI platform means AI can reuse that content. You've got no control over what AI does with that content after it's done its analysis for you. So you've effectively shared your private or confidential patient data with a third party. If you want to do this, you have to anonymize the content, and you also need permission to do this. So in summary, you're co-working with AI. Your role is to upload the data to an AI platform. AI is actually the unauthorized processor. So therefore, it is a breach of confidentiality, and there is an ethical concern because it is a data protection violation. AI tools learn from the content that is already on the internet. So that means they are learning from published data, published knowledge. So that means that if you use a lot of AI in your work, even though you might think it's generated freshly just for you, you might be inadvertently plagiarizing. What I mean by that is you might use content that you got from an AI platform, but you might not realize that that was actually copied but paraphrased. So the AI may have got it from another book, but it paraphrased it. And therefore, when you present that as your own work, you've actually just plagiarized because you haven't provided the correct citations for that content. Remember that AI is not infallible. It makes mistakes. It provides incorrect citations. It might even misinterpret content that is found on the internet. If you rely on AI, but you never checked the AI if it was correct, you are still responsible because you're submitting it under your name. Thanks for watching, and cheers.